on, everybody? Hope you are having an amazing Monday. Looking forward to today's talk as usual. You're joining on LinkedIn Live. Make sure to go ahead and let me know where you're joining from. Today's conversation is going to be fun. I've got a lot to try to jam in right now. I think everybody right now, we're like, oh crap, it's December, and it's like end of the year is coming. 2023 has been crazy. It's been a long year in a good way. A lot of positive things personally, professionally for me. I've got some posts coming up. I'll tell you about some of the things I'm proud of and I've accomplished, and hopefully you can reflect on some of the things that you're proud of and you've accomplished. So today I'm going to go through kind of 4 quick details. Make sure if you're joining now, drop your questions in the comments. You know me, I love to hear the questions. Let's make sure, as usual, you want to make sure you turn your do not disturb on. That's always helpful. Focus. Here we go. Do not disturb. All right. So as usual, drop your links in the comments. Let us know. Let us know what questions you might have. Let us know your LinkedIn profile, where you're joining from, so people can connect. And we'll drop a couple links in there as well too. Of some cool new things that we're working on. And I'm really excited for next year. There's some big things happening, both, again, for Skaled as a business in our kind of continued push into being the leader in the RevOps world, our continued leader in being, really a voice around generative AI in sales. And we feel really excited about where that business is going to go. And I'll get into that. So I'm going to talk about trends that we saw this year, how I think these trends are going to manifest next year, what I think is going to be kind of the new. And if I was sitting in your shoes, whether I was a seller, whether I'm a sales leader, what I would be doing right now to make sure that my business is ready to rock, that we are ready to crush it, go into the new year. All right, so I've got some fun ones here, and I'll drop some of these in the chat as well too. So the first trend is we really saw a big uptick in our private equity and VC relationships, specifically around, and this is going to be an interesting one, and probably most people can relate, and it's probably the least sexy problem to solve. But this year it became sexy, which is data gaps, integrity, and usefulness. We saw more organizations, right? And I love this stat. 22% of RevOps leaders feel confident they have the right data or for accurate forecasting. Less than 1 in 4, right? So our business really grew quite a bit this year for that business unit, which is coming in either taking over RevOps or supporting RevOps teams to, okay, let's lay the foundations. Because here's the thing that we realized. Everybody wants to see the same things. The funnel metrics that we all track are all the same. And so the data that you need to visualize and kind of work backward. And so what we've consistently found is that we're able to come in organizations, it's like build your reports and dashboards and work your data problem backward. So data was a really big one. And again, people we always want to do the flashy stuff, when the reality is many times what moves the needle the most is laying the foundation. Okay. Number 2, and we're at I would say just now, we're at the beginning of this trend. A lot of people are going through those budget cycles. And so this concept of consolidating our tech stack, we saw 2021, man, that VC money was flowing. All these sales technologies, everyone's selling to each other. Man, everybody's taking off. They're hiring like crazy. Companies are getting 100x top line valuations. And now, there's a little reckoning. It's like, are people actually using these things? You're getting everybody moving into everybody's space. You've got, Outreach, Salesloft, Gong, Clary. Salesforce is making a bigger push on their engagement platform and leveraging Einstein. And so what you're seeing is this push for companies to consolidate. Now, the interesting part is this. I actually sat down with a senior sales leader, 250 million ARR company. We had coffee yesterday. And, he's like, look, everyone's pushing me to consolidate. But for me, look, cost-wise, if I can get best of breed, then I'm going to keep doing it. So I think it's interesting. I think we're at the beginning of this consolidation. So if I was a seller right now, stop pitching saving money. Do not get me wrong. Saving money is important. But if I am a CRO of a mid-sized company, I got to know this thing works and that your other tools actually work and drive change, not just save money. So consolidation of tech stack, that's a really big one. Um, okay. 86% of leaders, number 3 here, 86% of leaders find driving process adherence challenging. So we are struggling right now. So my third kind of visualize slash, what people are hiring us to do trend, process adherence and efficiency. Our playbooks aren't really lining up to the way that customers want to buy. We're trying to recreate, we're seeing sales leaders go to the same go to a new company, or maybe they came to a company and they're trying to run the same playbook and play that made them successful in 2014. And what we're seeing is like the ability to get people to adhere to a process when buyer journeys are becoming less uniform is becoming difficult. And that organizations aren't really doing a very good job also around onboarding. So making sure that people know what's expected of them up front. So process adherence, that's my number 3 in efficiency. There are different steps that need to be consolidated, expedited, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, number 4 is looking at the client journey. We're finally seeing people spend a little bit more time, and I'm going to say a lot. I'm going to say a little bit more time, actually focusing on the holistic experience. And really, again, thinking about this like, okay, we've got to work across the aisle more. We've got to figure out how to be more effective. Marketing, your budget is whoosh. Sales, your budget is whoosh. Customer success, you probably never had a budget, but whoosh, you got cut too. So, hey, we got to figure this thing out. And so I think we're seeing more kind of across the aisle conversations and the beginnings of those than ever before. We're seeing more and more teams align around revenue and having like very similar KPIs versus kind of disjointed KPIs. It's like, this group's on MQLs and this group's on sales qualified. It's like, well, how do we try to break down the silos within organizations and get everyone aligned? And I think the budget cuts are really forcing teams to do that, which is exciting. And last but not least, I'll tell you the other trend that I've observed here is, how we're going to build, manage, and lead sales teams still needs to evolve. And, it's interesting. I saw, someone that I know in this space, he posted about, it probably is helpful for, really junior sales teams to be together in the office for a few days a week. And look, you guys might hate this, but I don't disagree. And I'll tell you why, because I cannot tell you. And I think why people are saying this isn't because, like, trust me, we've went, basically 100% remote, and not having, a large office payment, 2 office payments monthly is not a bad thing. It's the learning that, I cannot tell you how many times in my first few years in sales, I'm listening, this woman over here saying this thing. I'm like, ooh, that's good. I'm stealing that. This guy's saying this thing. And just the speed of learning and where I could borrow best practices. I don't know how to replicate that. I don't know how to replicate that 100% hybrid. So I do think we're going to have to think about how we lead teams, and go back to like, hey, what's the best for our organization? How do we also maybe start to reinvest more in the learning and training and skill development of our people? I think what I've seen really since the pandemic is really a decline in really strong training and development programs. Raise your hand if you've been in sales for 5 or 10 years and you've seen a decline. If you're new to it, you're like, I never got trained in the first place. So I think we've got to go back to just thinking about how we build and scale teams, and go back to saying, hey, we need to onboard people correctly. And that's important. So that's my 2023. It's been an interesting year. We've seen lots of companies that are winning. We've seen lots of companies that have really struggled culturally and to hit revenue targets, just not being able to unanchor from the old school way that they did forecasting or other things. So next section here, I'm going to talk about what I think for 2024 and what I think these trends are going to translate. And then I think maybe additional trends that I think are important for, you all to pay attention to. So I've got 5 continued trends here. The first is around enhanced data management and accuracy. Salespeople hate entering data. Who knew, right? We we we've struggled with this for forever, but there are tools that exist today that can really make this process streamlined. And a lot of this goes down to sales operations and revenue operations teams just have not implemented these tools enough. So it's like we find one use case for a tool, like augmenting data when a lead comes in. But there are so many tools that exist now that can just keep everything clean and running, that can ingest all the data. There's a really cool one that's out there, Nectar. I'll drop a link for it. I'm really a big fan of what these guys are doing. Um, and it's something that we're going to be partnering with them on, in this year to come. Cognism is another big one. Nectar kind of pulls in all the data from your team, from Zoom and email. Cognism is another partner that I'm really excited about. Their ability to kind of be an alternative that's a little bit more tech focused than Zoom Info, to augment, clean, keep your data hygiene on point. So there's these tools that are out there today that look a lot different even than if you demoed these tools a couple of years ago, that teams need to be aware of, right? And that teams need to think about, how do I stay on top, or work with a partner like Skaled? And I don't want, this isn't a commercial for Skaled, but I will say this. To think that your sales operations or RevOps teams can keep up with the amount of technology whenever we're implementing 40 to 50 new sales technologies a month and going deep is not realistic. And I think we're going to see more agencies like ours, kind of pop up. There's some other kind of people in our space, but you have to have the data accuracy. And we can't keep saying like it's the sales team's fault, because I'm telling you right now, I've seen the tools that can fix this. So feel free, DM me. I'm happy to make some intros for you all and, help you meet some of these folks. So consolidation of tech stacks, this is an interesting one. I gave you guys my 2 cents on it. I'm struck. I don't know where this one's going to go. I think there's going to be probably one or two big losers in this space. That's probably my guess, is that there's going to be one or two of these people that have really tried to just say, hey, don't do this. We can do everything. And the tech just won't be there. And so people will switch. And the thing that they were known best for, people will say, I don't care if that's what you're known best for. You guys sold me a bill of goods with this, new cadencing platform or sequencing platform or your data product. We're out of here. And you're going to destroy, and I think they'll destroy their core business. So I think we will see some consolidation, but I think we're going to see a couple losers next year. I think we're going to see some people who fall off from that, kind of top tier. So there's nothing wrong with doing it. Just make sure you vet. If you're going to really think about consolidating, compare apples to apples with each set of the platform. That's why, again, I'm a big fan of what, Outreach and SalesLoft in particular are doing, I think, compared to some of the others in terms of their like holistic nature and approach. So, those two were the market leaders, and in my opinion, continue to be pretty heads and tails above the rest. Process optimization. Okay. If you all are not paying attention to what's going to happen in February with Google and Microsoft and what they're going to do from a spam filter standpoint, outbound is going to change for forever. And when I think about process optimization, it starts at the top of the funnel. And so I'll give you a good example. New partner of ours that I'm, again, their tool I think is really focused on, again, how can I make sure that like I'm not going to send a bunch of emails that are going to get marked as spam, which I think for anybody out there, this has to be a focus. The company is Allegro. If you all don't know what Allegro, ALLEGRO.co, they basically test emails to ensure that your bounce rate stays at like literally nothing, and that your spam rate stays at literally nothing. So I want you all to think about that you're going to have to implement tools like these at the top of the funnel to make sure that your outbound processes are going to be effective. The other process change is going to be, personalization. We've got to go back to personalization. We've done some really cool things around how to use ChatGPT for that. We've built some custom GPTs that just allow your team to do this shit in like 4 minutes versus an hour. But we're going to have to figure out how to optimize our processes faster as well too. And not just, changing our sequences every 6 to 12 months, or adjusting our sales playbook every 2 years when a new sales leader comes in. Last couple here, client journey optimization. I've talked a little bit about this, just again, thinking about dynamic workflows. If you are familiar with my content, I believe that every sales organization should have at least a minimum of 3 sales processes, one to handle cold buyers. And this is what most people are set up for, this like kind of qualification, get them to this person, linear process. Then we've got educated buyers. These are people who've already done research. They've used your competitor. How do we fast track those people? And then you've got vetted buyers. These are people that have talked to 4 different people in a Slack community. They've downloaded content. They've gotten price and quotes. And then they come to you. Gotten, by the way, it's a great word. They have pricing and quotes. And then they're coming to you. And on that first call, they're like, let's go. Like, I'm ready. And if you're not ready to meet those vetted buyers where they are, you're going to be in trouble. And so if your organization is struggling to do this, again, this is something that we're doing a lot of with companies, is again, optimizing that. Definitely DM me, hit me up. And last is kind of leadership dynamics, learning and culture. I talked about that. We're just going to have to figure out how to better manage these teams and scale appropriately. And, right size teams from a, hybrid versus, in office. I think, like I said, breaking down, kind of silos between groups is going to be a big piece. I think we're going to continue to see marketing, sales, CS all, be friends together and work together. So I think all those are going to be, really important pieces. So yeah. All right. That's what's new. Okay. So there you got my hot take on 2023. As you can imagine, I'm going to be doing a ton of content around this stuff coming up. But yeah, it's pretty badass, man. What's coming down the I don't know, is it the pipe or the pike? I always think it's pipe, but isn't it? I think it's, God, I don't know. You guys know what I mean. What's coming for 2024. So first things first, okay. That is a little bit different. Okay. I'm going to talk about the term RevOps. Okay. I'm going to tell you it straight, everyone. In probably, I'm going to go 80% of the companies that we talk to, and these are companies that are very successful companies too. RevOps is glorified sales ops. That RevOps is a ticketing intake, non-strategic part of the org. Sure, they set up the reports and dashboards that people make decisions on. But my friends, that is not RevOps. Real RevOps is, look, we are looking across the revenue value chain. We're saying, hey, does this part need a new play, a new SLA, SOP? Yep. We're looking here and saying, okay, we got to change the sales playbook here. We're looking here and saying, we need to change our tech stack here. True RevOps is a holistic view of the bottlenecks in your revenue organization and deploying enablement and technology against different bottlenecks to solve challenges and drive more revenue and better sales productivity. The teams that are going to win are going to either bring in firms like ours that can do both, because we have the expertise. Marketing is already doing this. Marketing already brings in experts for parts of their tech stack, parts of their PR, performance marketing. Sales has got to wake up that you cannot expect an operations team to be an expert at everything that is so complex, and hire people internally, if you want to go that route, who have been there and done it multiple times. We cannot continue to hire operations people who used to be just in sales and then didn't get certifications in the tools. You're going to continue to use 20 to 30% of these tools, even if you do consolidate. So you have to give RevOps a seat at the table. I don't care if you work with us, if you do it in-house, it doesn't matter. RevOps is a strategic part of the organization. And we're going to see companies do that as silos break down, that they're going to be open to this kind of centralized planning across groups. Because that's really what needs to happen, is we need to have centralized planning to remove revenue obstacles across groups, tactically, strategically. Right? If you are in sales, you should be voicing, hey, what are the bottlenecks? What are causing the bottlenecks in your process? Maybe it's, there's a gap in your own sales process. Maybe it's something about the leads, etc. But this idea of RevOps moving away and evolving out of true sales ops, and I want a lot of you to just look yourselves in the eye or look at your sales organization and say, yeah, our RevOps is kind of like that. So by the way, it doesn't have to be. That's not normal. Like, it can be fixed. So DM me. Next, moving to real-time metrics and optimization. Why does sales move so slow? We're supposed to be this performance organization. Marketing spends $100,000 a month on Google Ads, they're expending at least $10,000 to $20,000 a month in addition to the ad spend to optimize the performance. All outbound, all inbound are science experiments. We're optimizing, we're tweaking this, we're tweaking that, we're tweaking, okay, oh, that subject line's getting a low response rate. Let's tweak that. We have to. Our customer behavior, we cannot continue to operate our top of funnel, middle funnel, and customer relationships in this non always optimizing mindset. It's candidly archaic. The fact that we are not looking, we are pumping hundreds of thousands of data points or thousands, if you got a big org, you're pumping hundreds of demos and what's happening in the sales process through every single month. You have to be optimizing every month. And if your organization cannot build out an optimization engine, you're going to have a problem because other organizations are going to do it. I've posted about this before. The difference between a 2% increase, in getting a little bit better every 2 weeks versus big 5 or 10% increases over a year is like this. It's like here's what the ones do at the 2%. Here's what the ones do at the 5-10% every 6 months or whatever. My friends, if you optimize more consistently, you will be able to hit your revenue targets and your outbound targets. If you do not optimize consistently and treat this like a science, sales is a science just as much as an art. There's a process. We have to look for the bottlenecks, make hypotheses to test against, and then continue to iterate on those hypotheses. Your outbound process is never done. Your inbound process is never done. Your sales process is never done. It's always evolving. There's always a new bottleneck to fix. Okay. So number 3 is churn. If you are not doing close loss analysis, if you are not going deep and opening up the closet to see the skeletons, you're going to be in trouble. And I think what will happen is it's going to be a slow burn. You're going to be like, oh, wow, it churns up a little bit. Oh, that's interesting. Well, yeah, the economy is still crap. Yeah, it churns up a little bit. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the economy's bad. And you're going to wake up 6 to 12 months later and realize that you've got competition that has outpaced you dramatically in some part of your sales or customer success process. Maybe your sales team is still over-promising, which we have to get away from. Maybe you don't have proactive touch points with your customers, right? Whatever that might be, you have to fix it, okay? Last but certainly not least, all right, everybody put what you think I'm going to say for number 4 is one of the top trends that you have to invest in. Okay, I'll give us like 10 seconds. What do you think I'm going to say that I haven't talked about, that I talk about 24/7, is an important trend? You guessed it, AI and generative AI in particular. I don't know how to say it any other way. You hopefully you guys have all signed up for Kevin and I's continued series AI Unleashed, where we are really bringing you. There is nobody bringing you the content we're bringing around generative AI and sales. I firmly believe that, and we're taking it a step further with some additional products and custom GPTs. And I promise you, the companies that start to learn again, and you don't have to learn everything about generative AI out of the gate, but you have to start to apply it. I promise you. It's like the easiest kind of money back guarantee. If you implement, and again, we've got a custom GPT around prep and research, and it quickly leverages all of our prompts and allows your team to literally just input some links and immediately have a prospect cheat sheet, right? In terms of what the company's talking about, trends for that persona, how do the trends match up with what the company's talking about in its press releases, and how does that relate to what you do? That used to take me an hour of research. I swear to you, you can do it. You can do it in 2 minutes, and it is better than, I'm telling you, reps that have been doing this for 15 years. You have to look to do something small to start. We've got a leadership custom GPT. Again, if you want your leaders to be working with reps and having custom training programs built off your playbook, I can build a custom training program in 5 minutes to help each rep improve on just the one thing or the 2 things. Deal plays. Hey, you know that sales playbook? How many of you have checked? Okay, and sales reps, you should go do this too. If you guys want to be horrified, go check the usage data in your Seismic, HighSpot, Insert content management system. How many people access the playbook daily or weekly. You do not. Guru, I don't care what it is. Go check the stats. You're not going to like them. Okay. And it's because the playbook's not dynamic. ChatGPT can ingest your entire playbook and make it dynamic. Can say, hey, I know this is our battle card for Zendesk, but I've got a meeting with a CFO on blah, 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 to blah, blah, blah. How do you think I should position this Zendesk battle card to them? Boop. Right? Your enablement team can't possibly build out 8 billion scenarios. ChatGPT can. And so those are kind of my 3 use cases: deal plays, prep and research, and leadership. You have to implement one of these in the next 60 days. You have to. It is that game changing. I know what your numbers look like for next year. It's going to be the biggest thing to move the needle. I would tell you something different. I would be spending my time somewhere else if I thought differently. So would Kevin Dorsey. We both have like a million things to do, but you need to invest. Okay. All right. And last but not least here. So those are my kind of 2024 trends. And I'm going to give you my top 3 checklist. All right. Another drink of water. Okay. Number 1 is RevOps strategy and tactical execution. And I'm going to give you a couple kind of cheat sheets here. The easiest thing to do to think about this is RevOps needs to run the holistic funnel metrics and own all the playbooks on the process as well too. Think about how you can build an organization that's whole job is to optimize your revenue organization. That is RevOps. Okay. RevOps needs to be given a seat at the table at the same level as the top sales leader and people in different groups, and needs to be able to build a roadmap that fixes those bottlenecks and isn't bogged down with a bunch of tasks and tickets. RevOps should have the ability to say, hey, look, I know you guys want ABC. We're going to do that in 30 days because we're solving this much bigger problem, right? Or hire a staff to do some of the stuff for you. It doesn't matter. Work with us, great. You have to give RevOps a seat at the table. If you do not have that one person or persons who truly have visibility across and their team is not just a bunch of technical people, that's the number one mistake. That's the other mistake I see is other than just hiring people that have implemented tools once or twice, is you need people who understand enablement and technology and RevOps, right? Operations does not mean technology. It means freaking operations. Okay. Number 2, faster optimization cycles. This one is not that difficult. Basically, the habit to break is this. Every week or 2 weeks, we have a dedicated 2 to 4 hours, this depends on the size of your org, right? It could be 1 hour, it could be 2 hours, to review the top things that are working and not working in our outbound or inbound process and our sales process, put together a remedy plan and remedy those every 2 weeks, versus taking days, weeks, months every year. You have to put in place a more consistent time to optimize. You cannot keep saying, oh yeah, we'll get to it. That's why your outbound is failing. You are not treating it like a science experiment. You're not treating it like paid marketing, which you should be. If your marketing team spends $100,000 on Google AdWords, they expect XYZ return. You are spending $100,000 on SDRs. Do the math. Why is this organization spending $10,000 to $20,000 to optimize performance in real time, weekly, bi-weekly, and this is not? It makes absolutely no sense. Instead, we have to turn into performance organizations, not just for the outbound, but also for the sales process. I cannot tell you how important the sales process is here as well. And number 3, I already harped on it, is you have to implement AI in the next 60 days. You need to do something with generative AI in the next 60 days, or you are going to start the process of being left behind. I am telling you right now, I get it. There's fear. I get it. We're worried about this or that, but there are very small applications that you can implement around ChatGPT based on your bottleneck. Is it top of funnel? Is it middle funnel? Is it leadership? Whatever it might be, that will immediately make an impact. Pilot something. Again, we'll drop some links here for you all to sign up, book some time with me, book some time with KD. We've got the Prompt Pro. We've got the Unleash series. That's 100% free. Prompt Pro is basically free. It's $50. Workshops we're doing right now. These workshops, we had almost 20 people attend the last one. My friends, it's $100. It's going to blow your mind, right? I'm more than happy to give you your money back if it doesn't. But just start to get educated. Look, we're doing this stuff to cover costs, right? $50, $100. That is not a large part of our business. but I feel it's that important. And then if what you've heard is like, Jake, okay, I'll trust you and I'll take a leap. Tell me what we should do in the first 60 days. Book some time with me. Okay. I love talking about this. Worst case, you're going to get educated on what's going to happen. But that's what's up, everyone. Those are my trends. Those are my trends for 2024. Recap of 2023. I'll probably be breaking down a lot of these topics here over the next three weeks and probably early January. But whatever resonates, hit me up, DM me on LinkedIn, man. If you can't tell, I love this stuff. I really want to help everyone. And it's time to get serious. It's time to get serious about AI. It's time to get serious about optimizing more consistently and taking a more holistic view, and got to get rid of these dumb silos. So that's what's up, everyone. We will see you all, I guess, next week? I think we got our first AI Unleashed next week. Yeah, next week. I'll be back on Monday as well, too, live. And yeah, like I said, definitely go check out these links. Invest in yourself. It's the end of the year. It's the time to do it. And definitely reach out to set some time up. Love to chat. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.